Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new session. I hope all of you are doing great. And so today again, we are back with a new session of a revision for NET. NET exam will be held on 5th of this coming January, right? And at our Vallath, we are preparing with all our force and might. And we are very enthusiastic. We're preparing a lot for the upcoming NET exam from morning till night. So now it's time to revise with you all on YouTube as well. Are you all ready? Let me see the chat box. Good evening, and welcome to this session. Right, let's start. So if you're new to our channel, please do subscribe. And if you're watching this video right now, then please do like this video. All right. Yes, good evening. Please like the video, everyone. I'm great, Huma. Huma, right? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. All right. Okay, now, welcome to our session 30 of Vallath NET revision. Are you all ready for the first question of the session? Are you all ready? Yes, great. Welcome. Let's move on. Here we go. The Collector is a 1963 thriller novel by Dash. Its plot follows a lonely young man who kidnaps a female art student in London and holds her captive in the cellar of his rural farmhouse. Who wrote this novel? The Collector. Tell me, who wrote this novel, The Collector? The Collector. It's a novel by, very good, it's by John Fowles. John Fowles. John Fowles also wrote The French Lieutenant's Woman. The French Lieutenant's Woman. Correct? Yes. So The Collector, it's a novel by John Fowles. John Fowles. Okay? Yes. Next question. Voss. 1957. It's the fifth published novel by Dash. It is based upon the life of the 19th century Prussian explorer and naturalist Ludwig Leichhardt, who disappeared while on an expedition into the Australian outback. Who wrote this novel? Voss, published in 1957. 1957. Voss is by Patrick White. Voss is by Patrick White. It was published in 1957. 1957. All right. Yes. Next question. The Confessions of Nat Turner is a 1968 Pulitzer Prize winning novel by Dash, presented as a first-person narrative by historical figure Nat Turner. The novel concerns Nat Turner's rebellion in Virginia in 1831, but does not always depict the events accurately. Who wrote this work? The Confessions of Nat Turner. It's a 1968 Pulitzer Prize winning novel by whom? The Confessions of Nat Turner. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning novel by whom? Yes, it is by William Styron. It is by William Styron. William Styron wrote The Confessions of Nat Turner. The Confessions of Nat Turner. Okay, right. Next. Ely Wacker is a novel by Dash. It was published in 1985. Considered metafiction or magical realism, the novel is narrated by Illyr, trickster, narrated by liar, trickster, and confidence man Herbert Badgery, the Illy Wacker of the title, and tells the story of his picaresque life in Australia between 1919 and 1980s. Who wrote the novel Illy Wacker? Who wrote the novel Illy Wacker? Illy Wacker. These are not PYQs, Ashu. I am focusing on some particular areas on different days, and these are new questions. Obviously, these are based on PYQs because we will always take inspirations from the already existing pattern, that is current net pattern, but these are not copy paste of the exact questions. All of these are new questions, but obviously we always keep in mind the current existing pattern of NTA, and based on that areas we try to give questions. Yeah. Illy Wacker is by Peter Carey. Since they can ask you these questions on these Australian authors and all, post-colonial authors, so we thought it would be a nice thing to give you these questions. All right, yeah. Illy Wacker is by the Australian novelist Peter Carey. Peter Carey is a major Australian novelist. Okay, Illy Wacker by Peter Carey. Correct. Next. So before we proceed, let me give you all a reminder that from this January, we are starting our new NET online batch. So if you want to prepare for the next NET exam, you can join us. All right. Correct. Okay. Next. Woman to Man is the second collection of poetry by Dash. It won the Grace Levin Prize for Poetry in 1949. Again, a very important work by a very important author. Right? Tell me. Woman to Man is a poetry collection by whom? Woman to Man is a poetry collection by whom? Yes, Woman to Man is a poetry collection by Judith Wright. Judith Wright. She was a very popular environmentalist as well. Judith Wright, a very popular environmentalist as well. Okay, Judith Wright, very important. Woman to Man is a poetry collection by Judith Wright. Good evening, Anamika. All right. Next. Owls Do Cry is a modernist novel by Dash. Published in 1957, the book covers the story of the Withers siblings who live in a seaside town in the South Island through a period of 20 years. And this book extensively covers Daphne Withers' journey, including undergoing lobotomy. Owls Do Cry. It's a modernist novel published in 1957 by whom? Owls Do Cry. It's a modernist novel by Janet Frame. Janet Frame, very good. Janet Frame also is a very important author, right? So, Owls Do Cry. It's a modernist novel by Janet Frame. Janet Frame, very good, very good. Okay. Next question. A Town Like Alice is a romance novel by Dash, published in 1950 when Shute had newly settled in Australia. Oops, it's a giveaway there. Sorry for that. But now you know that Neville Shute is a very important writer. Neville Shute is a very important writer. A Town Like Alice is by Neville Shute. A Town Like Alice is by Neville Shute. Neville Shute. Very important author from Australia. All right, yes. Next. A Ransom is a novel by Dash. It retells the story of the Iliad from books 20 to 24. Who wrote this novel, Ransom, which reimagines Iliad? Tell me. A Ransom is a novel by which Australian novelist? It reimagines Iliad. Yes, it's by David Malouf. It's by David Malouf. David Malouf wrote Ransom. A Ransom. David Malouf is also a very important Australian author. David Malouf is also a very important Australian author. All right, David Malouf, right. Okay, now we have quite a big question. The English Patient is a Dash novel by Michael Ondaatje. You have to tell me the year of this novel, okay? This book follows four dissimilar people brought together at an Italian villa during the Italian campaign of World War II. An unrecognizably burned man, the eponymous patient who is presumed to be English. His Canadian army nurse, a chic sapper, and a Canadian self-described thief. The story is primarily set during the North African campaign and centers on the incremental revelations of the patient's actions prior to his injuries and the emotional effects of these revelations on the other characters. The story is told through the characters' perspectives and authors of books the characters are reading. So, The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje. It was published in which year? Correct. It was published in 1992. 1992. Correct. Very good. The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje was published in 1992. Also, please look up the details because you never know if they will ask you a statement-based question from these works. Like they asked statement-based questions from Doris Pilkington Garimara's rabbit-proof fence. So it's always good to know the details. All right, yes. Next, Crash is a novel by Dash, first published in 1973 with cover designed by Bill Botten. It follows a group of car crash fetishists who, inspired by the famous crashes of celebrities, become sexually aroused by staging and participating in car accidents. Tell me, who wrote the novel Crash? Crash is a novel by whom? It talks about how people get sexually aroused by speed. You know this, tell me. Crash, very important work. It was asked in various set exams, PSC exams. Yes, Crash is a novel by J.G. Ballard. J.G. Ballard. Okay, Crash is a novel by J.G. Ballard. Correct. Next. The Daughters of Mars is a novel by Australian novelist Tom Kennelly. True or false? The Daughters of Mars is a 2012 novel by Tom Kennelly. True or false? Tell me. Batao, batao. The Daughters of Mars. True. It is absolutely true. The Daughters of Mars is a novel by Australian novelist Tom Kennelly. Tom Kennelly. All right. Great. Moschus Moschiferus. A poem known for its classical allusions and sensuality is by Dash. Who wrote this poem? Moschus Moschiferus. Sounds very nice. Who wrote this poem? Say, this is a poem by A.D. Hope, the poet who wrote the poem Australia. This was asked in RPSC exam this time, that who wrote the poem Australia. That's by A.D. Hope. A.D. Hope is a very important Australian poet. You should revise these authors and poets. Okay, right. Natives of My Person by Dash is a complex novel exploring colonialism's psychological impact through a slave ship's voyage, focusing on the colonizer's fractured psyche, ambition, and greed rather than a straightforward slave narrative. Revealing how the pursuit of empire dehumanizes everyone involved, trapping them in a cycle of violence and futile quests for utopia, ultimately critiquing the very foundations of colonial power and its lasting scars on identity. Natives of My Person, it's a fantastic work. Natives of My Person, it is by George Lamming, the same person who wrote works like In the Castle of My Skin. In RPSC this time, they asked question from George Lamming's In the Castle of My Skin. Right? So these are the authors you should look out for. George Lamming is very important. Okay, Natives of My Person, it's an extremely important work by George Lamming. George Lamming. All right. Yes. Thought the Paraclete is a mystical poem by Dash, describing the ascent of consciousness beyond intellect into divine realms, where thought transforms into a divine messenger, the Paraclete, seeking the ultimate truth, leaving the self free and boundless. This poem is a spiritual journey using rich imagery of angelic flight and cosmic spaces to portray the mind's transcendence and dissolution into the infinite. You can easily guess this one, that who wrote this mystical poem, Thought the Paraclete. Thought the Paraclete. Yes, it's a mystical poem by Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo. Questions came from Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, this time in RPSC. Question came from Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. Savitri, the epic poem. So it's important that you look up Sri Aurobindo. Okay, Thought the Paraclete. It's a mystical poem by Sri Aurobindo. Look up all the major works of Sri Aurobindo. Then Manmohan Ghosh, Nirad C. Chaudhary. Okay, all these authors will be important. R. Parthasarathi, Dom Moraes. All of them are important. Yes, correct. So Thought the Paraclete. It's a mystical poem by Sri Aurobindo. Okay. So that's all for tonight from our side. I hope you guys loved the questions and enjoyed answering these questions and the discussion. Tomorrow also, I will be back at the same time, that is at 9 p.m. at our Vallath YouTube channel, and I will bring more questions and more questions, okay, for revision. In the meantime, please revise the post-colonial authors really well. Canadian literature, Australian literature, African, Caribbean, South Asian. Okay, please revise post-colonial authors really well. Okay, because questions will come from this area. All right, thank you so much for joining. Please do like the session before you leave, and I will see you all again tomorrow exactly at 9 p.m. at our Vallath YouTube channel. Take care of yourself and keep studying.